Today's podcast is the Royal Rumble. Last night, the Royal Rumble took place. It was pretty eventful. We got a number of debuts and returns in the Royal Rumble. We can just start off with the main results. The Women's Royal Rumble kicked off for a shot at the Women's Championship at WrestleMania. Bayley won that Royal Rumble. The undisputed WWE Universal Champion Roman Reigns defeated Randy Orton, AJ Styles, and LA Knight in a fatal four-way match pretty handily. The United States Champion Logan Paul defeated Kevin Owens via disqualification. And then Cody Rhodes becomes a back-to-back Royal Rumble winner to earn his shot at title at WrestleMania. He's in good company. He's only the fourth, I think. Yep. There was Hulk Hogan, there was Shawn Michaels, and Stone Cold Steve Austin, who I think won three, but not back to back to back. But he did win three.
2001 was his third.
Yeah. So good on him. But Cody Rhodes, congratulations to Cody Rhodes. But that's the brief summary of results. Let's talk about just our overall impressions. Since it's still pretty fresh in our minds, it just happened the other day as of this recording. What did you guys think of the Royal Rumble this year? Let's start with Andres. What did you think?
I enjoyed it overall. I did. There was one thing that Bayley pointed out that in her press conference afterwards, I didn't realize that she's like, we didn't have any legends in this one. You know, we had a lot of talent this time around to fill up the entire 30-person roster, and it was, it was a good outcome too. It was, a lot of us were kind of betting on her to get through it, and win. And for good storytelling, I think I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen with Raw. So I'm really curious to see what's going forward with Damage Control as well. But the women's one was really good. Men's one was good too, and obviously R-Truth crossing into both was actually a good comedy skit, as he does.
That was a good skit.
Walking into the women's one being all confused, and then coming back later thinking it's a tag match. All of a sudden, it's just I am surprised about Kofi Kingston getting eliminated as he did. I thought he was gonna pull some crazy stunt like how he usually used to. He would oh, he's gonna get eliminated, but he somehow recovers and comes back in. Little surprised at that. I will say the ending kind of dragged for those few minutes when they were hitting their finisher and then just collapsing and then getting up, and then the other person would do it and stuff, and then you're oh, who's gonna win, building up the anticipation. But I don't know, for me I was I don't know, I kind of felt at that one point was the low point, but it wasn't that bad. But overall though, it was a pretty good solid show, I'd say. Pretty good overall.
For the men's rumble, it was a little
just at the end, it got a little stale just for that one part. But I mean, it didn't last very long either. But that's just me being picky. But overall, though, I did enjoy both rumbles very much.
That's fair.
I probably enjoyed the women's one a little more. Probably more.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. David, any overall thoughts about just the show as a whole?
I thought it was a really good show. I think the more Triple H and company get to run shows, the better they get.
Agreed.
Even the men's side didn't really have. I don't think they had any legends either, other than the ones that are already kind of have their solidified status.
Yeah, there was no surprise really, other than the ones that came from different companies.
No Hulk,
but no legends.
Yeah,
thankfully.
It was cool to see Jordan Grace.
Oh yeah,
she had a strong showing, and then Jade Cargill debut and was nice.
Yep.
The men.
Well, I was going to say for the TNA one or the TNA champion, when did Mickie James come out with her knockouts? Or what did they? When it was Impact, were they still knockout champions?
Yeah, and that was 2 years ago.
It was 2021, I think. No,
maybe even the one before
2022. Yeah, I'm forgetting, but that's a good one. I was curious why there was a gap in between years, because I thought there was something there, but from what I saw, and I don't know if Mickie James was the one who brought it up initially. They didn't want her to have the Mickie James to have the title walking out. And there was this whole kerfuffle. He's like, "Oh, is she going out with that?" He's like, "All right, fine, but just make it quick," or whatever it was. Was the commentary about what Vince said when she came out? But I thought that was cool. But Chris, any thoughts about just the overall impressions? First overall impressions of the PLE.
Punk was gassed. He was really. I feel like he needs to get his reps in. I think he should have more showings as far as like the week to week stuff. That was my last impression because that was like the last thing that was that happened on the pay-per-view. But overall, very cool, very good. I was surprised about the Legends thing, but after thinking about it, like when I came home, I wasn't very disappointed. I think it gave a lot of like the NXT girls that came a lot of time, which is cool. Similarly with the men's Royal Rumble, you had Braun Breaker come out, and then I forget who else was there. Carmelo Hayes, maybe.
Yep.
So
Breaker had a good showing.
Yeah. Which another thing about like Breaker's like spots, like he had that big spot of like who the fuck did he toss over? Omos. I think he tossed Omos over, but it's like like it counted down to get to the next person to come through the ring, and the camera darted over to who was coming in. It's like, oh, what the fuck? Like that was such a weird thing. But overall, pretty good. The Logan Paul match was fine. I think it was good. And then I wasn't really paying attention to the title match because I knew the outcome. We were playing a little bit of that good ass Tekken. So yeah, so overall good, I would say.
I think I'm of a similar thought. I think there were a lot of people just kind of reading. I mean, the tweets in the comment section, I feel like is a portion of data you can kind of consider, but I still feel like it's not representative of the entire audience of WWE just because it's so wide and vast in terms of opinions and thoughts. But it is one of the loudest voices that you see every day online, and a lot of those folks online were, I mean, there's like people are saying it's like one of the worst Rumbles ever.
Oh yeah.
Some people, people are just complaining about, oh, this person didn't show up. But I feel like if you take a step back, I mean, a lot of that is just kind of like our own faults for kind of, you said gassed. I think that's kind of a funny word. Just like gassing yourself up and just thinking like you're putting all these expectations on it. And maybe to a certain degree, unfair expectations. We were people who were throwing out that MJF was going to show up. I mean, I did think that AJ Lee was going to maybe show up, but I mean, just because... Huh? What was that?
I was expecting her as well, too.
Yeah. I mean, just because, I guess looking at it, just because CM Punk mentioned her name, and there was a clip of her wrestling with him, but it was a clip because I think it was on the show Heels that they were working on. So that was just kind of a clip from that. It wasn't a recent training thing. But people were kind of creating their own story in their head, and they thought that it was just going to reach that peak, and trying to manifest it. And maybe it's because it was a case of CM Punk, like people were thinking he might show up, and that was a big maybe yes, maybe no, and they thought they'll lightning will strike twice, and they'll do it again at this pay-per-view. And I mean, I do like the Royal Rumble, at least. So for my overall impressions, I thought it was good. Like you mentioned about the roster and the amount of people that they have right now, I think it makes more sense to just have more of the folks who are actually within WWE to be appearing. I think you can save a handful of spots for like legends, but I don't necessarily know if that's needed, but it feels like that's part of Royal Rumble's charm. And I think a little bit of what people liked about the Rumble is that you can see those kinds of spots, but seeing this Rumble and even looking at last year's Rumble, I feel like maybe Triple H as a creative person is just slowly moving away from those kinds of things and just making it more of a focus around NXT, Raw, and SmackDown superstars. Just because they have such a large amount of folks who work for them, you can totally fill up both Rumbles with people who have star power now. So What do you guys think about do you think the possibility of future Royal Rumbles just being little to no like legends or cameo appearances? Do you think that's where the Royal Rumble's headed?
I have a take on as far as like how I think the mind of Triple H kind of sees the business in the current state that it is. So like back in the day, in order to get like heat or like views, I mean, you'd be doing things probably more on TV specifically to get people talking, to see it. I think now, because of things like Twitter and Instagram and all this social media stuff, I think it's very easy for them to throw these like curveballs or swerves on people. So like I wouldn't be surprised if they were the ones that were kind of like, yeah, like say that this person possibly is going to show up because it's going to get people talking, and then it's going to just be a cascading effect. So I think that's a strategy in the creative room. I think they're deliberately doing stuff like that where it's like, yeah, like mention AJ Lee, or like, people are watching your story, so like drop these hints of this and that gets people talking, and then thus like watching the pay-per-view more. So I think they understand that. So yeah.
I can see it going in the direction that it's going, that you had mentioned, that like maybe like less legends will not be part of it as much anymore, nor next to none, like how they had it this time. And it worked out pretty well, I'd say. Like I kind of wanted like maybe one person to show up, but to be honest, after it was over, I was satisfied with what I saw too. So I was okay with it, even though I was half expecting it. But I could see it going forward, because I mean, with NXT's involvement, yeah, they have such a big roster. They can definitely, they got the talent there to utilize of filling up a Rumble easily. And, they probably have like the best roster they've had too. So I can definitely say with all that talent, they can definitely make good Rumbles without having to inquire, using the old school way about bringing in old guys into the, just to fill in a spot, really.
I think
I agree.
Just another point. I think as a whole, wrestling fans are very nostalgic. There's a lot of nostalgia that's baked into what wrestling is. So I think there's just a lot of that expectation to see like the older guys or whatever to pop in like on a Rumble or whatever. Because like how many times you like read those posts and people like talking about The Rock and stuff like that, and how much of a pop he gets when he shows up, or Stone Cold or whoever the hell, because that was such a big time and a popular time of wrestling, so people just want to just constantly see, especially like the casual, they kind of watch wrestling or whatever and they kind of don't, but they hear that The Rock's on, oh, he made an appearance on SmackDown, oh shit, I'm gonna watch or whatever. So but they don't move past that, I don't think. So I think there's like different kinds of fans.
I mean, yeah, because if they're not expected to show up, no one's gonna watch. If you know The Rock's gonna be on SmackDown, their numbers go up because they know he's gonna be there.
Right.
So that's what I would think. Yeah, I agree with that.
I mean, you talked about nostalgia, wrestling fans. I wouldn't even limit it to just wrestling fans. I think it's just like there's this part of human nature where we just really like thinking about the past, reliving certain memories, and you look at, you like folks who talk about like their childhood, how's their best part. I'm like, well, yeah, bitch, because you weren't paying bills and you were just a kid, and they gave you like video games. You didn't really see like the actual real world around you, because your view and everything, and I mean, it's partially like how we raise kids and stuff. It's so limited because that's how we raise kids and how children are raised. So a lot of people are nostalgic about it. I mean, it also partially because you're 6 or 7, so everything's new and amazing. So the first thing you see when you're 7 or 8 will be the most amazing thing, and you'll take that with you until you're 56 years old, right? And you keep reliving that because that was your favorite part. And so I think nostalgia as a whole is a human emotion that companies tap into, and it does bleed into wrestling. Wrestling is a nostalgia heavy thing. I mean, AEW, WWE does it, WCW did it, TNA did it. They all do it, and it's like it scratches an itch, and it gives people a very quick hit of dopamine, and I think it does wear off. which is maybe why in the Royal Rumble it's kind of effective because a lot of them are one and dones. But if I'm trying to be to develop people and people who are currently under contract and are up and comers, I think I'd prefer to showcase them more than wheeling out Hulk Hogan on a stretcher, for his 50th Royal Rumble or whatever, and give me your 4,000th leg drop. I think that there's a limit to that. I'm cool with it. I think you can maybe put one or two in there. If I'm being honest, I think it's nice to see. Like, for example, maybe this was a Brock Lesnar substitute, but Pat McAfee yesterday, I didn't like how they went about his specific spot. I was like, all right, well, maybe he'll do something. But literally, he just got out of the announcer table, went up to the ring, and then just like eliminated himself. And it was like a 15-second spot or whatever. That was like, I feel like he could have put somebody else in there. But maybe it was like super last minute, and they did with what they could. So I can't really blame them for that. But what about let's talk about the winners, because we talked about the Royal Rumble and the overall feel of the PLE. What do we think about the actual winners of the Royal Rumble? Bayley and Cody Rhodes. We can start with. Let's start with Bayley. What do we think about her as a winner? Do we like it? Do we not like it?
I mean, we're all right. We all kind of said Bayley.
We were all right, except I thought it was going to be CM Punk, but that's fine. But Bayley, I thought, was the right decision. I thought, and a lot of people have said it, and like you think about it in your mind, but then a lot of people kind of crystallize it in a tweet or an X, and they word it in a better way than I could. And I do agree that she has done so much, and she did hold a pandemic on her back, during those 3 or 3.5 years that we don't really want to remember again. But, she did a lot with what she could. And I think she's now been a heel for like 4 years at this point. Right?
Wow, yeah.
So I think it's time for her to be a face. And maybe, what do you guys think about they talked about how they should give her like the Evolution Batista treatment, or Randy Orton, one of those two. What do you think about having Damage Control kind of being like the new version of Evolution, and they're basically going to follow a similar path? Well, it was Batista, because they're like, all right, you got to go for Rhea Ripley, or you got to go for
JBL.
JBL, yeah. They're like, come on, go for JBL, and then he decides to go for Triple H.
Yeah, the contract signing. Thumbs up, thumbs down.
Thumbs down, Batista bomb, baby. So what do we think about Bayley? You said we were right. Any additional thoughts?
Starts a "You deserve it" chant.
You deserve it.
It felt right, I mean, absolutely. She's, like I said, she's carrying the coming throughout, and she's been there a very long time. And I didn't realize it was her first time winning, and she set a record too, right? Being in there the longest.
Yeah.
Iron Woman.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm definitely more interested now to see where it's going, because it, like, sometimes Damage Control seemed a little, like, just a little stale at times, because it's like you kind of anticipate something's going to happen and then it doesn't. And then, then the Kabuki Warriors got united and then they win, and they're like, oh, but then there's like this weird, like, atmosphere that comes when Bayley, like, shows up. And then sometimes they're like totally cool with her too. So I was like, oh, what happened with that whole build? And then I don't know. So I'm assuming now, like, maybe they're really gonna get the wheels turning on that to see how that's gonna turn out now. Because I don't know, what if Bayley like turns around and says, no, I want Eo's title, which I doubt would happen, but like, who knows?
I think that's exactly what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Oh really?
Oh yeah.
Oh damn.
I mean,
I don't see it, but if that does, that'd be cool though.
I mean, that's the
Like,
Batista Evolution thing, is that they're gonna say go for Rhea Ripley or whatever, but they're gonna turn around or she's gonna turn around and the proverbial Batista bomb on her ass and take that title. I'm pretty sure.
Well, I think Bayley had actually mentioned too on TV that she was gonna go after, if she won at the Rumble at the time, which she won the Rumble, she said she was gonna go after Rhea Ripley, I think, but that was then.
Yeah,
she did swear that. But yeah.
So that'd be interesting, because I mean, obviously, Damage Control is like every other stable. They're gonna do something with them. They're gonna change, or they're gonna kick someone out and stuff. I mean, that happened with all of them.
I mean, when you look at the, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I mean, they Damage Control for the past like 5 or 6 months. They've been teasing a breakup. Like there was a lot of like scenes, basically like Mean Girls style, or just like obvious talking behind their backs, and Bayley's just kind of like being the fifth or sixth wheel in the team, and it's not subtle, and I don't think they're gonna carry it on beyond WrestleMania because you are building the story, and I don't think. I mean, with the exception of Cody Rhodes, but we can talk about that later. I feel like this story specifically it has an ending expiration date, and I think it ends at WrestleMania 40 with Bayley turning face somewhere along the line. Maybe not at WrestleMania. Maybe like on the road to WrestleMania, Elimination Chamber, something like that. And she turns face and challenges Io Sky for the women's championship.
Which I feel like she's kind of a Io Sky. I mean, kind of a placeholder because I feel like at least for like Western audiences, for like a Western product, it's tough to have a champion, especially when it's like the WWE Women's Champion, not be able to speak English. You know what I mean? I think it's just tough to have that. So, I mean, it just makes sense. I think from like a Western audience standpoint that she's going to take the belts. I'm guessing that's where it's going. I got a post that I believe was a troll. It was talking about Okada and how WWE treats Japanese wrestlers and stuff. I'll read it a little later. We kind of touch on the men's Rumble, but yeah, I'm pretty sure that's where it's going. That it's going to be Bayley v Io Sky for that belt. She's probably going to take it.
I was gonna say Asuka was champion for a while too, though.
That's
but
true.
her English was a little.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, she obviously they gave the belt to her.
Multiple times.
Like it's not like they're making like racial stereotypes and stuff like that, like with freaking Mr. Fuji or something.
Choppy.
Pee. Exactly. So it's like she had the belt, she had a good showing, but I think that's just where it's gonna go now.
Sorry.
David, any final thoughts about Bayley? Where do you see it going from here? What do you think the story is? Do you think it's going to be Evolution style, or you got a different take on that?
I think it'll be Evolution style. I think it'd be a good way to bring back a certain free agent if she never decides where she's going to go.
And the biggest cock tease.
I
am genuinely curious because I think there were a lot of folks that were hoping that Mercedes was going to show up at the Rumble, and obviously that didn't happen.
We got Trinity.
We did get Naomi, and I guess we can talk about, since we're still talking about the Rumble, the women's Rumble, the biggest surprises and entrants. I'd say Naomi was one. You mentioned Jordan Grace, right?
Yeah.
What was her name? That was another one I wasn't expecting, and Jade Cargill was the biggest one, I think, that debuted. There was, I mean, it felt right because it's not like we didn't know that she signed a contract. They made a big deal about her signing a contract. She showed up on every show, SmackDown, Raw, NXT. We talked a lot about it on our first episode, and she came out. She looked like $1 million, and Triple H was talking about like aura as if like he said like the new kids say aura. Aura's been around for a while, but she does have that word aura, like that aura around her. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's her physique or the way she carries herself, or it's the silver hair.
It's all of it.
I think it's all of it, because I think Pat McAfee was saying like if you ask God to create like the perfect wrestler, you basically would come up with someone like Jade Cargill. And she just shows up, the way she carries herself, she goes in the ring, and man, she picked up Nia Jax like she was nothing. Like she was just like a bag of like fucking toilet paper that you got at Walgreens, and that's like the only thing she was getting. She like lifted her up without any problem, and kicked her, and then chucked her over the top rope. It was a little clunky, but I think that was part of Nia Jax's issue trying to go over the top rope. She's just kind of like, it's a big lady, so it's still pretty cumbersome if you're trying to throw her over the top rope. But what did you guys think about Jade Cargill's showing at the Royal Rumble?
good first step.
I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, she's gonna be huge. I mean, like, in the fact that, you know, me and David at least watch AEW, seeing her in AEW and then just seeing her in a WWE ring is pretty freaking wild. And then without, you know, we had that speculation of MJF and stuff. And fuck you, Boozer, you liar, or whatever. So yeah, and that's what I mean. That's just a little tangent, but that's what I mean. Like, I feel like if that person does work for the company, like, he's there to specifically cater to the marks and stuff, and they're gonna eat that shit up because they're gonna be like, oh, you know, MJF or whatever, that he's got the inside word, and then you get swerved, but you still fucking watch it anyways, right? So, but yeah, I think she's gonna. I mean, I know she's gonna be huge. So, you know, it's just a matter of time. So for sure, good on Jade Cargill.
I feel like, I mean, they did that whole tease with Bianca Belair and their stare down. That seems like an obvious
That was a good segment, yeah.
first feud. And I'm pretty sure they already announced Jade Cargill as appearing on Raw. So it seems she's going to be on the Raw roster. I think this will come out after Monday Night Raw happens. But hopefully, her initial feud, I'm thinking it could be Bianca, but I'm also wouldn't be surprised if they threw her in the title picture with Rhea Ripley immediately, because I mean, both big ass strong women. I feel like that'd be a great feud too if they wanted to go in that direction. Maybe even at Elimination Chamber, who knows? Maybe they'll throw Jade Cargill in an Elimination Chamber. I feel like that'd be actually a pretty good idea to challenge for the other title that doesn't get picked. So yeah, we'll see about that. But besides Jade Cargill, which one was your favorite entry? Did you guys have any additional thoughts on that?
I thought the damage control part was kind of interesting because, like, Asuka and Kairi Sane at the same time getting eliminated, and like, what, they weren't in there terribly too long. I was kind of expecting more of betrayal too at the Rumble, to be honest. I was like half expecting that, like, I don't know, that like Kairi Sane or Asuka was going to do something that was going to cost Bayley the Rumble too. Actually, like, that was like, I expected her to win, but I thought like maybe something was going to happen where it was going to indicate like more betrayal, maybe. But no, they got eliminated by the very people they took the titles from. So I thought that was interesting too, actually. And then Bayley was like screaming at them like, "Oh, you guys are much help," you know. But
I
wasn't
going to last longer than that. I thought they were going to go through until the end and either get eliminated by her because she has to and someone has to win, or
something along the lines of that too. Yeah,
just last longer and help her.
Yeah, because when the stables are in, someone usually betrays someone at some point because they have to. So that always happens.
Right.
Naomi making it to the Final Four.
Yes. I feel like that's notable too. I was really happy to see her back, and it seems like she was super excited, and pretty sure she was crying too.
Wait, who are we talking about?
Naomi.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, the crowd was cheering on pretty well. Yeah, she had a good welcoming.
Which is why I still am maybe like we'll see like where Sasha Banks or Mercedes ends up in, and it seems like, I mean, like Tony Khan did like a tweet. And he was saying like this is going to be like 2021, and maybe because he already knows that he has Mercedes under contract, but we'll see. We'll see where she lands. But yeah, I just thought, with her friend winning the Rumble, with all her friends being there, I thought that would be an important factor. But maybe Mercedes Moné is all about the money, so. More power to her, honestly. If it makes whatever makes her happy, I think that's the smart decision going forward. So with that, how about let's jump into the men's rumble? I think this is an interesting. This was a decision that wasn't necessarily 100% because there was that Sports Illustrated article that said that he wasn't even going to be in the main event, not even anywhere close, and they were saying that they must have been fed wrong information, which I think kind of touches on what we talked about before, where you have guys like Boozer and people just kind of feeding misinformation just to kind of swerve. people, which I honestly think is pretty genius. Because I'm sure those people in WWE don't like the dirt sheets, people leaking stuff. So to have like, I don't want to say a department of people, but maybe like a handful of folks who just kind of like give information to certain members of, I don't even want to call them press, just like dirt sheets to like, spread rumors. But Sports Illustrated isn't even a dirt sheet. It's like an official publication. So that's interesting. But let's talk about the Rumble. What do we think about Cody Rhodes winning again for the second year in a row? And what do you think is going to happen with him in WrestleMania 40?
You better finish that story.
Damn, yes.
Whoa. Yeah, no, it's good. I'm glad he won. I'm glad it was him, not Punk, to be honest. And I'm pretty sure they're still gonna have Punk main event night 1 or whenever they decide to. I'm guessing night 1 with Seth Rollins, because again, I think a lot of the knee stuff and all the speculation and like you mentioned the article, I think it's all just to swerve people to have people talking or whatever. Because then people get really emotional. You know how they say they want to drive emotion. Anger's an emotion. The despising shit is an emotion. So I'm pretty sure that's what they're playing on. So, yeah, it's good. It's good that Cody won, and I'm guessing he's gonna finish this story, unless they're like, nah, fuck you. But that'd be a weird thing to do right now.
Can you imagine if he just loses it again?
That'd be
in the main event.
That'd be crazy.
Maybe next year, kid.
That didn't happen to Stone Cold Steve Austin, right? Like, did he win both times he won the Rumble? I don't even remember. But I'm pretty sure he didn't lose both times when he won.
He won both times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be the shittiest thing if they just had him lose again. Just I feel like Roman Reigns has broken a number of records. He's already like 3rd or 4th biggest. That's impressive as it is, especially in this, just the way wrestling has been for the past 30 or 25 years. To have a 3-year plus reign as champion is unheard of. And I don't know if they'll do it again. So he's already done, the best thing he could. So I hope that Cody Rhodes wins. I'll be curious to see how long he holds that belt. That's going to be interesting.
One night.
Let's not jump the gun, I guess. Maybe he'll lose, but
3 minutes.
Pull Rey Mysterio.
Yeah. We still got a briefcase, baby. We still got
That's
that
true.
briefcase.
God damn it. That'd be that'd be the shittiest thing too. Insult to injury. He wins, and then just the Money in the Bank comes down, fucking loses the same night. He basically was champion as long as Kane in like 1999 or 98.
Adam Cole.
I mean, he did technically finish the story though, and then that's it. If he wins,
Triple H in the press conference is like, "Hey, I said he'd finish his story. He did. He just lost. He got the championship. He only had it for like an hour.
Not even."
Man. Thanks. Well, so what did we think of the men's Royal Rumble? Were there any surprises? Did you feel like the way it ended up was about expected, or do you think that there were folks who showed up at the end that you weren't expecting to be in the final? 4 or 5 folks.
I didn't think Drew McIntyre would get out so quick.
Mm-hmm. He felt like an afterthought to me.
I was surprised how long Dominic kind of stayed in there, to be honest. I mean, he was in there for a bit. I thought he was going to be like out pretty quickly, but I was like, okay, he's still hanging in there. I think Finn Balor got eliminated before him.
Yeah, Dom was the last one from Judgment Day.
Yeah. I get that, like, Damien, why he threw out R-Truth, but I'm like, man, you could have utilized him. He immediately went right for him as soon as he walked in. He grabbed him and just threw him right over. I'm like, damn, because he actually like wants the help. So I was like, damn, he could have been a good teammate on your side at that point. But
we pretty much we called essentially what those last people were gonna be. I mean, I did say Drew McIntyre. I said he was gonna win, but he for sure was gonna be at the end at some point. Punk and Cody and who else was there?
Jey
Uso. He was in there for a bit.
What did you guys feel like how they handled the Jimmy and Jey Uso thing? Because I thought that was a good way to start the Rumble, and I thought it was going to last longer, but I feel like it just kind of fizzled out and it wasn't as eventful as I thought
I
it would
agree.
have been.
Same.
Maybe it's just me.
Yeah, I mean,
No,
I kind of
they didn't
forgot
make
Jay
it
was
to
even
like
in there
build
after a
it.
while.
I thought they were gonna use it to build the program, but it was more of a just like still a tease and a feeler.
yeah, the vibe was off. That's what the kids say.
What do you guys? So we talked about like the people who there were like 5 or 6 people who could potentially win this thing, and that obviously didn't happen. I think CM Punk has a pretty clear picture of where he's ending up. Cody Rhodes is obviously facing Roman Reigns. What about Drew McIntyre? Like, where does he go from here? Who does he feud with? Is he included in this championship picture? You
For at
know,
least
same with
another
Gunther.
month. No, they're all still in the race for at least another month.
You think so? Elimination Chamber.
Yeah.
What do you think is the stipulation? What do you think the stipulation is going to be at the Chamber? Do you think it's going to be for a shot at like another like participant within this championship match? Do we think it's going to be limited to
Triple threat.
Cody versus Roman?
I'm hoping
think
it's a singles match.
Yeah, and I'm sure that the Elimination Chamber winner will be someone from Raw or entirely Raw, or people with it on SmackDown that aren't gonna go to Raw, but they'll pretend and lose.
Yeah.
When did they stop
Andre.
doing? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Andres.
No. Yeah.
Oh, I wasn't me.
Oh no, I was going to ask what your thoughts were, Andres.
Oh.
Actually, about like where do you think they're going to go from here for like Drew specifically and Gunther? Like what? Like they have nobody right now, at least
Yeah.
from my perspective. I don't know. Where do you think this can go?
I mean, if they don't have anyone, they could probably just throw them together. Because I mean, Gunther still has to fight somebody. Because he's a champion, and I'm sure he's going to be riding the championship belt, maybe even through Elimination Chamber. So it's possible, maybe. Because I mean, yeah, like I said, there'll probably be a chance. I'm sure Drew's he's in Elimination Chamber. I'm assuming, right? So like, but the stipulation for that though, like I don't know, like what the winner's going to exactly get out of that one. If Roman, like, is it a chance for the title after that? I guess, right? Or we don't know.
It's all speculation right now.
Yeah.
Speculation right now,
About the
so.
Chamber.
Yeah, I don't know with Drew. Like, really, it's
Well,
interesting
Sami
take.
Zayn just came back, and he got Sami Zayn written off of TV.
Oh, that's a good point.
True. I was gonna say though, when did they stop doing the SmackDown exclusive pay-per-view and the Raw exclusive pay-per-view? When did they stop doing that?
When they
I feel
brought
it's been a
them back
while.
together.
Yeah, whenever it was like the Super Show or whatever it was, like I'm pretty sure they stopped doing like brand exclusives in like 07, 08. Like they really
No, they
didn't.
brought them back.
No, they keep going back and forth with that.
I thought
brought 'em back
they
a little
they
bit.
had like the brands were exclusive. I didn't think that the pay-per-views were exclusive. Is that what you're talking about?
Actually, no, you're right. You're right, because the last time there was a brand extension from like 16 to 20, they would still just show up on.
Yeah, they all showed up on the PLEs, but they were trying to be as separate as they can in terms of like the shows, but then everyone would come together on that PLE.
Yeah.
But it's not like how it was in like 05, 06, where like in July it's Great American Bash and that's SmackDown only. And then in May it was Vengeance and that was Raw only. Like they haven't had that for a long time. And I don't think they're going to go back to that at all. I don't think it's necessary. I think PLEs should just be both of them. And honestly, they always break their own rules every time they do these drafts. I guess it's like for a ratings thing, but like literally a week later, they had folks from the other brand just show up, you know? So I don't know how effective it is, but I think it's important to have 2 separate shows because it does give you that ability to like have your own stars, and everyone bouncing between the 2 would also be a little bit of a oversaturation, and people who want to be main event stars can't really because it's technically one roster. So keep it like it is, I'd say right now.
Agreed.
And I think with the Elimination Chamber, I feel like it will lead towards just the women's and men's. It's going to be whatever the belt that didn't get picked. That's going to be the chamber for those two. So that's what I'm hoping. I think Rhea Ripley. That's the other thing. I don't know if it's going to be for the belts in the Elimination Chamber, and I don't think it would because Seth Rollins, I'm almost positive he's just going to stay off the shelf until WrestleMania, unless, like you said, he is just working everybody. And so Rhea Ripley, I would like to think if she's on the poster, she'll have some kind of match. But yeah, like Becky Lynch, she's probably going to be included in that title match.
For sure.
But yeah, with the men's rumble, I'm actually hoping that Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns are going to be just facing 1-1. I don't know where that leaves Randy Orton, AJ Styles, and LA Knight in terms of their feuds.
Andre the Giant Memorial.
Yeah, Battle Royal.
Yep.
The Mae Young Classic.
I mean, that's probably what it's going to be, to be honest. They need to pad that shit up with some big names.
Yeah. Or maybe LA Knight feuds with Logan Paul for the U.S. Championship. I mean, I don't think LA Knight's won any kind of belt on the main roster, right?
Nope.
Yeah, I think he should have at least the United States Championship, or maybe even face Gunther, but they're on different brands, so maybe that's not the smartest thing. So let's see. Yeah, I mean, I think that kind of covers it, unless you guys had any final thoughts about the Rumble.
I was just going to bring up that troll post about Okada and kind of how WWE would treat Asian superstars specifically. So this is what it says. It was rumored that Okada would debut at the Rumble. I'm so glad he didn't. Have you seen how they treat Asian wrestlers? Why would I want Okada to become Tozawa's sidekick? WWE is clearly racist towards Asian wrestlers, almost always treating them as jokes. Even if they get pushed like Nakamura, they still hit a glass ceiling and never get treated like a star. It's best for everyone that he goes to AEW, where he can be booked by Tony Khan, who has a deep respect for Asian wrestling and legends like Inoki. Just look at all the Asian champions in AEW's history. And then it's hashtag WWE's racist and hashtag AEW wins again.
Yeah, that toxicity.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't believe that's true. I think it was true at a point. You know, I think early, like the 80s and the 90s, early 2000s, I guess, because I think it had a lot to do with Vince McMahon's creative and the way he would use, for instance, Japanese or any Asian superstars, and that's just the perspective, I guess. So I think Okada can be potentially used in the right way in WWE. So we'll see, I guess. I mean, he'll do well in both, but I think as far as WWE goes, I think Okada will be in a good spot.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like with that comment, but like you said, maybe he's talking about the past, but he's analyzing the current picture, like the title picture, and just the state of the union of WWE, but that doesn't even make any sense because the Kabuki Warriors are the tag team champions.
Right.
Io Sky is the WWE Women's Champion. Shinsuke just had a big feud with Cody Rhodes.
Yeah.
And there's still speculation that Shinsuke Nakamura is referring to Okada in his promos.
Nakamura's been like Intercontinental Champ like 4 times.
Right. Nakamura won the Royal Rumble in 2018. And it wasn't there to really to look. I wasn't there to really watch it, but I don't think the AJ Styles and Nakamura matches were. I think people were overhyping it, and I guess they were expecting something else just based on what I read.
They're expecting a New Japan match.
Right.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it was a troll account, but I think it brought up an interesting point as far as like how Asian superstars are treated currently versus how they might have been, treated in the past.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like that's not even true though. Like if we're analyzing the current picture, that literally like 3 or 4 of their champions are Japanese. So
And in
I
AEW, you're losing. You're losing to Mox, Kingston, or Danielson.
right.
Right.
And with Tony Khan's booking, just looking at it, it just feels like there's this constant cycle of hype, new person, build, gets lost in the shuffle, new person, rinse and repeat. Like, I feel like there's not a lot of sustained momentum for a lot of these folks. And I feel like that's where that idea of action figures and just collecting folks just to keep them instead of using them comes from. But yeah, I think the point he makes, I mean, it's a nice discussion starter.
kid.
Yes, it's a good discussion starter, but I just don't think it's accurate, at least in terms of the current direction of WWE. But with Okada, I guess we could end the podcast on this because Okada's the biggest star in New Japan Pro Wrestling, and he is leaving. It's like basically as if like John Cena or Hulk Hogan basically told WWE in their prime that they're leaving, and then they're gonna go and figure it out. But that means like go to WWE or AEW. That's pretty crazy, and I'd like to see. I honestly, obviously I'd like to see him in WWE because I feel like that's just more of an interesting place for him because it's just such a different environment. So I just think it'd be more interesting for himself as a person, like creatively and career wise, to be in like a machine like that, like WWE versus like AEW, where it's trying to be like New Japan and it's got a style. The wrestling style is much more similar to New Japan versus like WWE. So I just think putting him in that kind of framework would be fascinating.
Agreed.
But yeah,
Agreed.
do you guys agree? I mean, you guys just said agree, but do you have any additional thoughts on that? On why you think that'd be a good idea?
I think he could be the guy to change things around. Like as far as that stereotype goes, if they're gonna say Nakamura's had a bad career, I'm sure like Okada will stay either top of the card or like in good programs. I'm sure like if Triple H had his way, Nakamura would look like how he did in NXT. Like that's not Triple H's fault. That's not the current regime's booking.
Yeah,
Like
I mean,
agree.
they can
because
book.
NXT Nakamura was crazy.
They could book Okada as like a Japanese Ric Flair. I mean, they could
Yeah.
give him all that swagger. He can do all his promos in Japanese and do the subtitle thing like Nakamura. So I mean, I think he can have all that, and he doesn't have to speak a lick of English if they do it right. So
Yeah, we have the technology, like people. They're like people. It's as if they're stuck in that mindset of like Americans only watch like English dubs, and there's a lot that still do, but the culture around just like, for example, like even like the Yakuza series, like it's primarily been a game with Japanese speaking characters with subtitles, and there's a lot of like popular Netflix shows like Squid Game and other Korean dramas that people are into. The movie Parasite was a great movie, Korean drama like that earned a lot of money, and it's a foreign, quote unquote, foreign film with subtitles, and it's successful. I think that there was a lot of just old style big boys like view of the world, like the Vince McMahon white guy kind of view of like what a non-American wrestler, how they should be portrayed, and what does and what doesn't draw money. I feel like that's shifted. So do something as simple as including subtitles. Give him a talking head or manager. Paul Heyman as the make Okada a new Paul Heyman guy. Screw it. Roman Reigns loses. Paul Heyman's like, well, you're no longer my tribal chief. I'm with Okada. Like that'd be pretty awesome. Connect them two and then see where it goes. But I think that'd be a very interesting turn of events. But with that,